Da, da, da. There was a summer when I was in high school, which is one of the best summers of my life, where I literally went to sleep every night watching a full Indian movie, and I played Pokemon Showdown until like 2 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It was weird because one of the songs that I had on repeat while I was playing that summer was On Top of the World. I forgot who sings it. I want to say it's Imagine Dragons. It's probably not Imagine Dragons. It's like, and while this isn't like Mount Everest top of the world type of thing, being on top of Hollywood here is essentially the societal version of being on top of the world, in terms of like who's the most well-known person you could think about. It would probably be someone who is part of Hollywood, or is like celebrity status, if you will. So there's two things that generally my videos talk about, which are energy and technology, right? I haven't talked as much about the technology recently because of events in my life, and I want to talk about that a little bit more first, which relates to the energy part, right? And that's, so I just came from San Diego. I spent 3 days around. My mom came to visit me, which is super cool. I'm like coming out of like a bad streak or bad luck streak, and there's other videos that kind of explain that a little bit. I've been to San Diego once before, which was when I was working for Navair as a civilian. I did a symposium thing there, and I have really fond memories from back then, and it was super cool. I loved the experience. When I came this time around, I was looking for the same places I'd been to before, but I couldn't find them for some reason. I eventually found them, but the experience I had this time was not nearly as fond, if you will. And one of the revelations I came to recently was that the reason that's the case is because when you have less responsibilities, you have like a different perspective on life that's like allows you to enjoy much more. And arguably I don't have that many more responsibilities now versus back then, but it's different enough, my life is different enough whereby I'm just looking at things differently, right? And like I can definitely see what I saw back then, but I'm not feeling that same feeling because turn on the light on the camera so that makes it a little bit better. We'll see. It's gonna get dark real quick, so I wasn't anticipating doing a 3-mile hike from where I parked my car to the Hollywood sign, and I honestly thought the Hollywood sign would be a lot, like there'd be a better view of the Hollywood sign from up here. I think that like there's definitely some angles and stuff that you have to like get to, which one, I'm way too tired to try to do right now, and then two, just I don't have the resources to do that. And I forgot if I mentioned this before, but I've been talking to more elder people recently, whereby the reason why I can talk better with elder people is because their perspective on life is different, and there's a wisdom that they're using to analyze life, essentially, that when you're younger you just don't have the ability to. And it's not saying that you can't, because I fully believe if I was given the right environment, people, and resources, I could have verbalized the thoughts that were in my head back then to be able to have the conversations that I'm having now. And I feel like there's definitely a lot of kids nowadays that may apply to as well. But the way the society's structured and the things that are valued, generally speaking, don't support that type of thinking, perspective, mentality. And we're trying to change that, right? So because of everything that's been going on, I haven't had the time to try to ask people about how technology is affecting their lives. And I guess I'll just give this as an update because I don't know how to start it, but this is probably the best way to start it. But I've had incidents with Airbnb where I've never had to talk to Airbnb before. I've stayed in 36, 37, maybe up to 40 Airbnbs in my first 105, 6, 7, 8. I think today's 108. 108 days on this trip. And Airbnb always sends a message when you're gonna check in that says, do you need help? Is there anything wrong? Like, contact us, we'll be here for you. I've had instances like no heat, dirty conditions, like hosts that are being like a little bit strange, but not strange enough for me to not be able to handle it on my own. There's been different situations, right? You heard the situation that happened recently, and I was on the phone at least 12 times with Airbnb, back and forth, trying to justify this problem that I was facing, because either they didn't believe me or something about their whole process was messed up. So I had a conversation with them last night. Essentially, it's very strange. So there's ambassadors, which are just like their low level customer service support. Then there's like a senior case manager, and then you have supervisors, right? And I was talking to the supervisor last night. I asked him, after you guys, who else is there? And he said, there's no one who will answer a phone call, which is complete garbage. That Airbnb has a level where past which you can't talk to someone, and the level where that is can't help you. Anyway, because of all this escalation and recent events, twice in a row I had 2 incidents that they couldn't resolve, right? And I've essentially decided to take Airbnb out of my main housing strategy. So I made a little short asking for like suggestions on like how to do this better. After I head back to Florida for a week, not next week, the week after, I'm going to just when I come back, I'll just be staying in hotels unless I find some other solution and or like try to make it all work. But because of that, the way that I went through the South is not going to be at all similar to the way I'm going to go through the North. And one of the biggest things is that I won't be able to get as much of an in-depth perspective on how day-to-day life is, living in a community, living in different cul-de-sacs or like neighborhoods with all the problems of like, sanitation, general housing upkeep, general cultural things like, and you can see when people are going to the supermarket, what they do in the morning, if they're jogging, if they're like, what their like after work routine is, where the kids are, like how that whole process works. There's a lot of in-depth stuff I was getting just by staying in Airbnbs, just by looking out the window, just by like walking around, taking breaks during the day. And it'll just be harder doing that staying in a hotel, but we're gonna try and do that. Anyway, coming back to the point, I haven't talked to as many people because I've had to deal with situations that were coming up recently. Ironically enough, earlier today, I did meet a mother-son duo who was like, the son moved to LA like a year ago. Miles is his name. I remembered you, Miles. And he didn't really explore LA too much, so he's like, they're doing that now. And I wasn't even expecting to like have as much of a conversation that I was with them, but just to reinforce the 2 things that I've been saying that I actually mentioned to them as well, there's 2 things I'm working on: values-based technology and information overload as a problem. Values-based technology, we're looking at, given a value of a society, community, culture, how do you get technology to integrate with that value and augment it, as opposed to compete with it for competing attention, resources, just allocation of like importance, if you will. And there's like the slogan that I have: technology augments value. So if you don't have value, technology is not going to add anything to it. And the second thing is, we're always surrounded by screens and information. And I was thinking recently just the breadth of this problem. And I think I mentioned this on the video earlier, so I won't go too much in depth with it, but given the amount of information that we have available to us, we need to give users the control and ability to turn off information from their lives. Yes, there's a problem of people just being within a certain domain of information, which is generally termed an echo chamber or something like that. The flip side is that inside of the echo chamber, there's just too much stimulus all at once, and users generally don't have the ability to pick and choose what they're listening to at any given time. And if they do make that decision, it's just really hard for them, and it takes extra energy from them to actually do that. So those are two things I'm working on. I'm gonna try and further them more. I'm slowly getting back on track with like everything. California, I see the appeal, but also I don't like it. I definitely can't live here. Just something random that I was thinking on this three mile hike up here too. The people usually ask the question beach or mountains, and when you're in LA, you literally have the mountains and the beach, so like why you gotta choose for, but that's neither here or there. There's an idea that I want to talk about, which is how technology is created, which I think will benefit people if they're able to like listen to this and like get the point I'm trying to say. So there's generally two ways of developing technology. You either have a visionary like Steve Jobs, who creates Apple, right? He had an idea on what the ideal combination of technology and a platform would be for its users, and he's essentially had such a strong vision that he was able to adopt people into his vision. And if you think about Apple as a product, as a company, as a culture, everyone in there is literally has Apple brain. I don't know how to say it, but like they are only thinking about using technology in the way that Apple is designed to be used, right? So they don't have the ability, rather they choose not to think about things differently because of how quote unquote convenient Apple is as a product and service. So that's one way, right? The other way is you figure out what users need and you build an iterative platform around meeting those needs. And we don't have a lot of Steve Jobs, right? I can't even say like Bill Gates an equivalent to Steve Jobs, because Microsoft is not comparable to Apple, and the whole culture around Microsoft is nothing like it was for Apple. So even Elon is technically a culture with electric cars and stuff. We'll save that for another video, but I don't like I don't like Tesla, I don't like SpaceX, I don't like Twitter, I don't like all the things he's involved in, and it takes a longer conversation to talk through all of that. So what I'm doing on this road trip is talking to people and trying to figure out what needs they have so that we can build technology to work for them. A lot of tech companies are not motivated by meeting people's needs, they're motivated by money. So if where the money's coming from and where the people's needs aren't aligned, technology in how it's done in corporate America today is not going to meet the needs of people. So I can't promise that I'll have anything of real value, because I can't even call myself a visionary. I would like to think of myself as one, but I'm not a traditional one in the sense, although all visionaries I don't think ever meet a sort of standard or structure, if you will, or a mold, if you will. Like Einstein was a visionary in some degrees. Like there's like different scientists and different like people over the years. Like even in music, there's visionaries, right? So all of them like talk differently and act differently and like value life differently. Practically speaking, under the hood, I think there's a lot of similarities between them all. But practically speaking, how they go about making that a reality is different, and that's what makes them a visionary, right? Being unique in their approach to solving problems. So I'm trying my best here. I'm honestly just looking to enable visionaries. So like, I really don't like building shit. I like integrating shit. And what that means practically speaking is that there are systems that people are developing that are lacking in some way, and all I'm trying to do is apply those systems to life more effectively, right? So I'm not trying to build software, I'm not trying to build a lot of things. I think we have too many things that are built. We have so much potential as a civilization, as a human race, and we're not using our efforts or resources collectively, collaboratively enough to actually make the progress that we should be making given the size and scale of everything that we have, right? And there's politics, cultures, lots of things that get in the way. But yeah, it's been very interesting recently. I am I did this huge stroll today, and guess where I'm going tomorrow? Universal. And guess what I have to do? A bunch of walking again. So I wasn't the smartest to do this right before that. I wasn't anticipating this being as big of a thing that it turned out to be. But yeah, I sort of forgot this myself, so I'll reiterate for myself in the future that like, I wasn't doing this to get anything out of it, specifically vlogging. Like, I got really involved and invested in it because of like the general addictiveness of like posting on social media and stuff. I'm constantly working on my relationship with social media in that capacity, but I think it's like I'm getting back on a healthier flow with it. There's a lot of content that I'm actually producing, which I'm surprised sort of about. There's one song that I heard earlier, which from Eminem, Not Afraid, which the lyrics really resonate with me recently, which is, I gotta play the song, you guys gotta listen to it, but so I'm slowly getting back on a flow that's like trying to work to something better, and whatever happens from all of this, like, it's really just talking about the things that people know about but don't practically apply because there's just too much going on in their life, right? So it's more so just a constant reminder, which I'm not saying everyone needs this all the time. And like I said, there's been a lot of people over my travels so far who have really great habits. It's just a matter of, as a society, making those habits more acceptable and reminding ourselves and making a community around people as opposed to a community that's distanced by technology, right? I feel like I had a bunch more stuff to say, but I either was super concise, which is rare, or I don't think I said half of what I said I wanted to say, so we'll see how this all goes, but it definitely feels better at this point of my life in this trip. I got a lot very heated from recent events, and heated, sad, disappointed, just generally not feeling the greatest, and I'm not feeling the greatest right now, but I'm getting back to some sort of more positive uptrend. So we're gonna keep going, guys, and see where this all leads us. So I appreciate you guys for continuing to watch and listen and share with others. So please let me know if there's anything I can do to help you guys. And until next time, this is your boy Nikumia signing off.